The world is changing faster than ever. What used to take decades is now taking years or even months.
What you see right now is the illusion that people have had for many decades about the workplace being this secure place to work the rest of your life.
For the first time in the history of our nation, our children will not do as well as us.
We've seen our friends get laid off, we've been laid off, we've had our pay cut.
People are overworked and underpaid. They seem to have less time and less freedom. They live under constant pressure.
This is going to be forced. And so even if your employer loves you, they may have to cut you.
There's something wrong that on Monday morning, the heart attack rate increases by 35%.
Technology is accelerating, job security is declining. It just doesn't seem like the old models of making a living are as reliable as they used to be.
Every aspect of our lives, there's a better way out there, but we're still doing it the old way.
We live in the greatest country on the planet, and there are a lot of people sitting around complaining and being cynical.
Like everyone's whining about this old model, and I'm like, why don't you leave it? Look at all this over here. Look at all this opportunity.
Since so much of our lives revolve around our work and the way we make our living, many people are thinking there just has to be a better way.
The biggest challenge facing our world today is not making money, is what are we going to do with all the displaced, unemployed people?
People are afraid that they're going to make the wrong decision. People are afraid of the unknown. People are afraid that maybe I don't have the skills.
Hey, sports fans. Industrial age is over. It's dead. It's dying. A steady paycheck is an industrial age idea.
It's the search for answers that has brought us here together today. My name is Eric Worre, and for almost 30 years I've been an entrepreneur, struggling at times, but ultimately succeeding. As a best-selling author, speaker, and business owner, I've spent my entire career helping millions of people around the world to become entrepreneurs. And I believe strongly that there is, in fact, a better way when it comes to how we make a living. The career landscape has changed dramatically, and many are still working in a model that is completely out of date. What worked for previous generations isn't working as well for people today. In this film, we're going to explore 3 important questions. First, what's really going on in our working world today? Second, in this new economy, is it better to become an entrepreneur, or is it safer to work for someone else? And third, if a person decides to become an entrepreneur and start their own business, how can they do it without taking on massive risk? To help in this journey, I've brought together some of the greatest experts and thought leaders in the field of entrepreneurship to share the real facts with you. My intention is to give you new information that will allow you to make choices that are not limited by an old, outdated model. Let's start by understanding what's going on in our working world today.
Let's look at unemployment. 30–40% of the people are honestly not working. What our government does is if you haven't found a job in 6 months, we don't call you unemployed. We pretend you dropped out of the labor force. I've often said that unemployment, particularly structural unemployment, that's unemployment due to technological changes, is the first sign of economic growth. Now, of course, looking back in history, these changes used to take thousands of years. And during that time, we went into farming and transportation. Some of us became doctors and some teachers and lawyers, and we developed all these new professions and new manufacturing jobs. Today, these changes are occurring literally in one day when a new technological advance occurs, and we don't have the social structures to deal with it or to retrain the unemployed people.
So one of the things that I think is interesting as I travel across the country and really travel around the world is the way that we work and the way we get paid for work is changing pretty dramatically.
On a global basis, everything is being turned upside down because of the rapidly advancing technologies. They are eliminating many jobs, and we have been left with many people not prepared for the jobs that exist.
So this idea of job security in information age is so obsolete, and people are still trained to be employees who work for that paycheck. This is a chart on the middle class. What's happening in the middle class, those that went to school, their incomes have been coming down for years. And parents still say to the kids, go to school, get a job. Now what happens to all those middle class people who are dropping off the ends of the chart? Well, they become what's called working poor. And this is what happens to working poor. But they say poverty is ending. Well, poverty may be ending, but working poverty is going up. And this is food stamp usage. So food stamp usage in America is going through the roof right now, because people cannot earn what they call a living wage.
If you're not working for yourself, then it's going to be a pretty hard road for a lot of people.
So some of these charts actually tell you what's going on. And this is a really interesting one, you know. People are going back to school because if I go back to school, I'll get a nice job. But this is what's happened. Student loan is going through the roof. It's now over $1 trillion, and student loan debt is worse than credit card debt. The problem with student loan debt is you can never be forgiven. See, with credit card debt, you can declare bankruptcy and then all's forgiven. But student loan debt, you can declare bankruptcy, you still owe it. It's the worst of all debt. But this is the next picture. Look at this chart here. This is what's happening to wages of college graduates. It's going down. So you go to college, you rack up all this debt, but you earn less money.
I think in the United States we have something like 17 trillion in debt.
Debt is a financial drug. When you take it to excess, it's like taking a drug. Yeah, it makes you feel better, it enhances your performance, but at a huge cost, eventually it kills you. And so that's what happens. We keep doing more and more debt, and you get less and less results, just like a drug, until the debt gets so high that it crushes the whole system. That's where we're at, 8.2 times GDP.
You know who I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for the person who dreads going to work, who is sick to their stomach on Monday morning, who hates their alarm clock, who gets a little glimmer of hope on a Wednesday because it's hump day and says, thank God it's Friday. And they live for those 2 days a week where they get to be themselves and they don't have to be around people they don't like, and they don't have to play the political game in the office, and they don't have to live this half life. The person that works 50 weeks a year just to be able to have the 2 weeks for vacation. And you know what happens to most of them nowadays? They don't have a vacation. They have a staycation. They have time off of work, but they don't get to go where they want to go because they're overextended. They've got all this debt. They got all this situation. They hate their alarm clock. They can't sleep until they're done. They have to spend most of their life in traffic. I feel sorry for that group of people because there's a better way. They just don't know it.
And this is how they are, and they're just like the zombies, and there's no joy in there, there's no fun.
The basis for their life is worry. I'm worried, you know, maybe I'll get fired. I'm worried maybe my company will go out of business. I'm worried I can't keep spinning the plates on paying the bills. I'm worried about how do I send my kids to college. I'm worried, what if the transmission of my car breaks? That's, you know, 2 or 3, I can't fix it. People live in a sea of worry, and it eats at them.
It's time to look in the mirror and say, it's not the economy, it's my economy. It's my little world of where I am. I need to improve. I'm not going to wait for the economy to come back because, frankly, the economy is doing great in this country.
So I'm here on Wall Street, the financial center of the universe, the financial capital of the world. This is where most people's money goes to at least be held for a time, right? With interest rates in banks being effectively zero, and many experts are predicting it's going to stay at zero for the next 10, 20, even 30 years, people feel like they don't have any choice but to put their future into equities, to put their future into the hands of other people on this stock market, and hope that the stock market goes up, hope that the stocks that their advisors pick or that they pick goes up. That's one way to go, I guess. It's my personal belief that if you put your future into the hands of yourself, in other words, you have earning power by yourself, I think you're a better investment than these guys. I think controlling your future is a better option than handing over your retirement to these guys. The average household income in the United States is approximately $50,000 a year, what they call the middle class. To reach the top 25% of income earners, you need to earn at least $90,000 a year. To reach the top 10% would be a household income of $140,000, the top 5%, $190,000, and to be in the top 1%, you'd need a combined household income of at least $380,000 a year. So here's the question. What do you think would give you the best chance to move up and get to the top 10%, the top 5%, the top 1% or beyond? In my opinion, and in the opinion of many, many experts, the answer is to become an entrepreneur, to become your own boss.
I think you have to be a business owner.
The other status symbol really increasingly is lifestyle. I mean, people can own their own business, maybe even work out of their house. That, I tell you, people admire that. Like, gosh, I wish I could do that.
The spirit of the entrepreneur is to be a risk taker and to be resourceful and unstoppable and to have a vision of yourself beyond where you are and not willing to settle for life as it is.
You think about the great entrepreneurs, they're visionary, they have heart, they're willing to do today what others won't so they can do tomorrow what others can't.
In the world of entrepreneurship, there are no limits. You can make as much as you want, depending on how much you want to work and how smart you are and how great a team you put together.
There's no more lifetime rewarding business than being an entrepreneur.
Why in America, where anyone could be anything, would people want to give up their freedom and be here every morning at 7:30, leave at 5:30, and do what I tell you?
If people decide to become an entrepreneur and work for themselves, they have some traditional options, but they're riskier than you might think.
Any kind of a retail business, retail build-outs, is extremely expensive. Even just these small little yogurt stores where they're putting little yogurt machines and you get all the different flavors, you're spending $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to open a yogurt shop.
I would love to buy a Dunkin' Donuts, but it's $500,000 or so to start. I don't quite have that just in case money.
Well, I can tell you what the success rate is of a restaurant.
What is it?
They're crazy enough. Year or less.
Wow.
And if we're talking non-franchise, we're talking franchise,
Sure.
That's totally different.
Yeah.
But our students aren't getting franchise restaurants.
You gotta invest big money.
Exactly. And with someone like McDonald's, you've had to work with the company for a long period of time, really know the
To even have a chance of investing $1 million.
have a chance, and it's a slim chance.
Risking lose it all, and most guys do 2 or 3 times.
And most people say, I'd love to be my own boss. 70% of Americans would love to be their own boss, according to recent polls. But they don't know how to get there. Because what are you going to do? One, you could buy an existing business. If somebody's selling an existing business, you have to ask why. Usually because it's probably hard. It's probably not making as much money as they hope. 2, they could buy a franchise, a little less risk, proven system, but it's expensive to be able to do that. 3, they could start something from scratch. And that's where a lot of people feel like, I don't have the chops to do it. I don't have the money. I don't have the product idea. I don't have the expertise. I don't have whatever it's going to take to be able to get there, and I can't risk my family to do it. So, 4th, they could become an investor. A lot of people in this town invest to try and figure out a way, but you got to be pretty smart with that game too, right? I think the bottom line for the 4 traditional options is they take money, sometimes a lot of it. They take expertise, and they take time. All of that adds up to just too much risk for most people. What if there was a way that you had all the proven aspects, the comfort aspects, and you could still control your own life? What if there was both? In other words, you didn't have to create everything from scratch. You didn't have to be a super leader. All you had to do, what if there was a proven product already? You didn't have to create the product. And there's a proven system already, proven training already. Everything except an employer. That was the only thing that you didn't have. Do you think more people would be open to working for themselves in that environment?